The Supreme Court says it will decide if President Trump can limit the constitutional right to citizenship at birth. President Trump issued an order at the start of his second term in which children born in the U.S. to parents who were either in the country illegally or on a temporary basis are not recognized as U.S. citizens. Birthright citizenship has long been understood to be required under the Constitution's 14th Amendment. CBS News politics reporter Melissa Quinn joins us now. Good to see you and thanks for joining us. Do we know a timeline yet on when the Supreme Court will take this up or the significance that it will in the first place?
So we can expect the Supreme Court to hear arguments in this case sometime next year, with a decision likely coming down by either the end of June or early July. Now, this birthright citizenship policy has been the cornerstone of the president's immigration agenda, but it has actually not yet taken effect. Every single lower court to weigh the constitutionality of this policy has ruled against the Trump administration and blocked the administration from enforcing it against babies who are born on U.S. soil, either to people who are here temporarily or who are in the United States illegally. So this will be a massive case for the president and could really impact one of the key policies of his immigration agenda.
Supreme Court finally decides to hear Trump's case about the birthright citizenship and the order that he did in January of 2025. Why is this a big deal? Because birthright citizenship has ruined America. Birthright citizenship has been abused by immigrants, by people on temporary status and everything like that. We have to understand, if you don't understand the 14th Amendment, let's talk about it real quick. The 14th Amendment, it says this: all persons born, naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the state wherein they reside. That's what the 14th Amendment is, and that's what it's talking about as far as birthright citizenship. If you're from another country, you come here, you have a baby, that baby becomes an American citizen. Tell me any other country in the world that has the same order, that has the same laws. No other country allows us except America. Oh, America was a land of immigrants. Okay, it was a land of immigrants in the beginning. But people don't understand that birthright citizenship was really made for slaves, for black people. Because black people came from where? Africa and different parts of the world. They came here, they worked, they were used and abused, but they gave them the right, which was fought by the Republicans, so that they can have babies and their babies are considered American citizens and they have rights. So I don't understand why people are upset about this as far as saying this is unconstitutional, because in the Constitution it says this right here. This is the big sticking point that the Trump administration is standing on is, it says this right here. It says that the key phrase is subject to the jurisdiction. So that means subject to America. See what I'm saying? That was put in there because it's at the subject and it's at the what that country or America wants at that time. If you look at the America right now, Americans are the minority. What do I mean by that? It means that we have more naturalized citizens, we have more illegal citizens, we have more refugees and asylum seekers here in America than overall real true-blooded Americans. What is real true-blooded Americans? Americans that were born to American father and American mother. So what happens is, why is this a big problem? It's because we have an immigration problem. We have people coming and saying, oh, I need help. They come here. They have kids, and their kids get the rights. But what happens when their kids get the rights? If you are coming from a poverty-stricken situation, you come here to America, and then you're like, okay, how can I get money from America? Even though that I'm an illegal immigrant, I can have a kid. If I have multiple kids, now I can get government assistance. This is the game, and this is what they do to have babies. It's because they're using babies as a source of income, and this is the reason why they're outgrowing and having so many kids. It's not because they love their kids, it's because they're using it as a form of income to get money. So I definitely agree like this. As a person, people will always say this, well, this is not right, you're racist, or, you got to have compassion or empathy for, immigrants that come here and they have kids. I live in different countries. There's no other country that I've been to that has this law. I remember one time my daughter, my wife and I, we lived in France because I played basketball in France. My daughter was, in the process, obviously she was going to be born soon. We were in France, and at the end of my basketball season, we were like, all right, we're just going to live here in France, and it'd be dope to have my child be able to have a dual citizenship. But we did more research, And they were like, oh no, you don't get a dual citizenship, you don't get birthright citizenship, your child is still considered American unless you live here in France for like, I believe it was 10 to 15 years or something like that. And you have to speak fluent French, your child has to speak fluent French, you have to have a job, you have to also pay taxes. It was this whole spiel that the France said in order for my child to be able to get a citizenship. So just because they were born there didn't mean a damn thing. So why do we don't have these rules in America? But then when we challenge this and we try to get rid of this, people are getting upset. It's because they're gaming the system. What we have is an administration that finally sees the fraud. Look at what's happening in Somalia. Look what's happening in some parts of LA. Look what's happening in some parts, in what they're saying, Ohio now, Dearborn, Michigan. What you have is these immigrants, Chicago, Illinois. What you do, you have these immigrants, you have these refugees, asylum seekers. They come in here, they're having babies, and then as you know, they are the majority. That's the problem that we have in America right now. We have a shortage of true-blooded Americans. What do I mean by that? American mother, American father had a baby. We're having too many people from different countries coming over here to have a baby. I'll tell you this right now, I used to live in Korea. I used to play basketball in Korea. And I talked to a lot of people in Korea, and obviously I was cool with everybody in Korea, but they told me the hack that they do to prevent their kids from going into the military when they turn 18, they get pregnant, and the last couple months of the last trimester, they come to America and have the baby in America. And now the baby has a U.S. passport, so when they go back to Korea and they say, oh, we want to draw that kid for the draft or to be in the army, what they do is they say, nope, this is a U.S. citizen. So they're using our empathy, they're using our rules against other countries as well. So people are abusing it. I love this. You have to ask yourself this. You're American. What makes it different for you being American versus an immigrant? What difference do you have? You should have more ability. You should have a higher advantage over somebody that just came into this country. There's no way that somebody should be able to come into this country and have the same benefits as you when you've been born and raised and your family's been born and raised and you have a lineage of people that's Americans. So I'm definitely curious to see how this looks, but the huge problem is the reason why we got the Supreme Court involved is because when they got involved, it's because when Trump did his executive order, we had so many courts, federal courts blocking it, so it really hasn't even gone into effect. So we need the Supreme Court to come through and put the hammer down. I believe if this goes into law and now you have all these courts have to respect it, you're going to see a better America. You're going to see people coming here and actually being a contributor to America. What do I mean by that? Now it's just not using America. Now you have to earn your citizenship. You have to, say this, hey, if I'm from a different country, I have a baby here, that doesn't mean anything. I still have to go through the process because that's what I'm saying. What they do is they use the babies to get around them actually going through the process of being an American citizen to be able to get the benefits that they need. I think that's what I said. We have too many people coming to America. What you see is a lot of immigrants are on SNAP benefits, housing assistance. So it pushes out real, true-blooded Americans. So I definitely feel in favor for birthright citizenship being canceled because that was made for slaves. And it's that subject to the jurisdiction. So if they feel like this needs to be changed, it needs to be changed. I've always been a person that's been in favor of updating the Constitution because the laws before and what was the current condition of America before is way different than what it is now. You have a lot of people exploiting those old rules of the Constitution.
What can you tell us about the main arguments for and against this?
Well, as you mentioned at the top there, the 14th Amendment has long been understood to confer citizenship on people who are born in U.S. soil. But the Trump administration is arguing that that is wrong. And it has said that interpreting the 14th Amendment in this way can have destructive consequences for the U.S. Now, on the other side of the coin, you have plaintiffs represented by the ACLU, and they are saying that the Trump administration is asking the court here to rewrite over a century of understanding, and that in and of itself would have harmful consequences for the nation.
I know that this is very new, so you probably haven't had a ton of time to call sources and get sort of what the legal experts are thinking right now, but does the current makeup of the court lead you to any hypotheses?
Well, look, I mean, I think the Trump administration has fared pretty well before the Supreme Court, but those are in instances where the court has been issuing these preliminary decisions. They haven't yet reached the legal merits. I think despite that track record for the Trump administration, this could very well be one of the cases where the Justice Department loses. And it is because of that long settled understanding of the 14th Amendment's citizenship clause. And the Supreme Court has looked at this before, way back in 1898, and there it said that birthright citizenship, or that citizenship, is tied to place of birth. So I think this is going to be a bit of an uphill battle for the Trump administration here.
I think they're going to pull it out. I think when you talk about and you show the Supreme Court and you argue to the Supreme Court, look at what has happened ever since we let all these people in. We are putting ourselves in more and more debt. It's because we're taking care of people from different countries that got here legally, or refugees, asylum seekers. They're having babies, and now we're taking care of their babies because they're not wanting to be a contributor to society. I believe it's going to win. I believe this will be the greatest win that President Trump has. I believe this will be the best thing that he does in his presidency by winning birthright citizenship and canceling that. We're going to see a better America. We're going to see less people trying to come over here and game the system. We're going to see less fraud. We're going to see a lot of things that won't go through, and you're going to start seeing Americans being appreciated. Now, as being American, you're going to feel like you have an advantage, as you should, because you're American. We're the best land in the country. That's why all these people want to come here and put their flag in America, is because America is great. So let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel. When you subscribe, make sure you hit the notifications to see all the new videos. We're going to have them coming, keep them cracking. But I appreciate you guys' support. Daily show coming soon. And also, you already know, we're going to keep this thing rocking.